On this episode of the Bronze Metalist podcast, we talk about Trouble by Trouble. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Bronze Metalist podcast. I'm Kale.
I'm OJ.
We're two professional broadcasters. We like metal. We like to talk about it. And today we're talking about an album made by people who love my favorite board game. My favorite board game.
Trouble.
Members of my family who are listening.
Trouble.
My favorite. Okay. That's
Yeah.
Yeah. They're one of the big four of doom metal.
Yeah, early doom metal. Yeah.
Early doom metal anyway. But I mean, like when you say the big four, like, you know, talking about other genres of metal, the big four of thrash metal.
Oh, yeah. That's early thrash metal as well. I mean,
yeah. So it's I feel like
the progenitors of the idea. Right?
Exactly. So it's I don't know if it's really necessary to say early because there's not a modern big four.
No, there isn't.
At least in a sense that it has, you know, taken off and become a cultural thing.
Yes.
You know, if you say to a doom metal fan like the modern big four, they're going to go, okay, but which one? Like it's different for everyone's going to have a different opinion on
right.
that.
And at the time, these were the like Candlemass and Trouble.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's kind of more or less undebatable.
Right.
That these are the biggest four bands. And it was the same deal with thrash metal.
Right.
Although that one is more debatable entirely because of Anthrax. Everyone's just like, does it really deserve to be Anthrax?
It does. They're going like based on sales and popularity and stuff like that. Yeah.
Who's the one that usually gets subbed in for Anthrax?
Sometimes it's Exodus.
Yeah, it's almost always Exodus that people sub in for Anthrax.
Right.
I think Anthrax deserves to be there.
They
I don't think, but
Exodus is a great band.
Exodus is fantastic.
Yeah,
but we're talking about doom metal today.
Doom metal.
Which brings to an interesting point. What do you think is the modern big four of doom metal?
The modern big four of doom metal. I mean, because it's spread out so much.
It's so like doom is such a big genre with so many little bits and pieces of it. I feel like you have to include sleep in there.
Yeah. I mean, that's stoner doom.
Yeah. But the thing is, I feel like stoner doom has kind of taken over the entire genre. It's by far the most popular out of any doom metal band that has started in the last 25 years. I guarantee the lion's share of them are stoner doom bands.
Sure. So would you consider Sun? Would you say that's doom?
Well, Sun is kind of debatable. Exactly what they are.
See, that's what it has. That's the problem. Is that over the last 30, 40, 50 years, so much like the genres have so overmixed and overlaid, and everything has influenced everything else.
There's so much cross pollination,
right? I mean, what is a doom metal band anymore at all?
I think to what I was saying earlier. The closest thing we have to a baseline modern doom metal band is stoner doom.
Sure.
Like that is the most popular and most easily identifiable that you can pick it out and say, oh, this is stoner doom. So it's like there you've got Sleep and an Electric Wizard,
Acid Mammoth.
As I wouldn't put Acid Mammoth in a big four list. But,
no, they're great. But,
and as much as I love Bell Witch, I feel like I'm running up against the borders of how much I know about doom, in the modern era. Although Bell Witch is extremely popular, so it's pretty. I don't think it'd be entirely out of place to put them in there. In a modern big four last 25 years. I feel like you gotta put Sleep in there, and then Electric Wizard. And then there's 8 billion other bands with names like Bong Lizard or something.
Sure. Bong Lizard.
Like there's so many Stoner Doom bands with Bong somewhere in the name.
Bong Water is a band as well, isn't it?
It has to be, and I guarantee it's a doom metal band.
And I feel like I had Bong Water on a copied cassette at some point.
There's I can't remember what one I'm trying to think of now, and that's because there's 10 different bands that have Bong in the name. It's just Google doom metal bands with Bong in the name.
Yeah, Bong Water is a band, yeah.
Of course it is. Bong in the name. There's also bands like Weed Eater. The lead singer, or I guess the only singer of Weed Eater, his sister is like a state senator or some shit in Tennessee, or I can't remember.
I guess Bong Water's a psychedelic band. 1987.
Bands that use Bong in the name, stoner metal subreddit. Come on, Reddit app, don't let me down. You're always so fucking frustratingly slow. Your app sucks. Okay, I've lost interest.
Anyway, so moving on.
Yeah. What's up with you this week?
Well, I've had kids all week because so my ex-wife went to Washington D.C. for work or for whatever. None of my business.
She's over there.
She went there and she came back and she had a really bad sore throat the next morning because she got back at like 2 a.m. And the next morning she messages me and she says, "Hey, I had a really bad sore throat when I woke up and I took a test and I have COVID. Can you come get the kids?" This was on Friday.
Yeah.
I'm like, I guess I'm gonna. And
sure.
So yeah, I went over and I got I got the one child because the other one is in summer school already. So. So now, yeah, I've got children living in my house all week, and we've been having fun and bonding, and I've been showing the youngest child movies that his mother won't show him.
That's your job now.
That's my job as a dad. Hey, you're 11. You can watch this movie now.
Son, have you ever watched a movie called Rambo 2?
We haven't watched that
called
yet.
First Blood Part 2.
Which, you don't have to watch First Blood Part 1 to get in on the ground floor with Part 2.
I feel like Rambo is so... The movies... they take such a hard turn because Rambo kills one person accidentally in the first movie and spends the last 15 minutes having a sobbing mental breakdown on the verge of suicide in like one of the best bits of dramatic acting Sylvester Stallone had done up until like Creed.
Sure.
Like, Rambo is like First Blood is a pretty great movie about, how awfully some Vietnam veterans were treated entirely because they had the bad luck of getting a lot of them getting forced to go over there. They didn't want to be there. And so it's like very movie about PTSD.
The first movie.
Back before PTSD was even really a widely known concept.
Well,
and then after that, here's him killing 500 people.
Right. It's like it's not the same character at all.
It's absolutely not the same character at all.
And by the way, PTSD has been around. We've known about this since the late 18th or 19th century, at least. It's just had different names.
Yes, and it was not necessarily treated as like a ongoing condition that needed continuous treatment and therapy and
it was
whatnot.
Get over it, pussy.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. It was. Oh, he's got shell shock, but he'll get over it. He'll figure it out eventually.
Right.
Just leave him be. He'll be fine. It's like no, he needs therapy.
Right.
He needs to go talk to someone. Yeah. It's with the name. Sometimes having a name for something and actually like. Just giving it an acronym that sounds official and medical can make all the fucking difference. Just like, oh, that has an acronym. That must be a medical thing. It must be a disease.
That's why I didn't give any of my children names.
You just gave them acronyms?
No, I didn't, nothing. I just want them to be real. So I just didn't.
If I don't give you a name, it's like you're not even here. Will you still feed me though?
Yeah. Get the boy some food.
Boy. Bring us in the direction of food. I should, now that it's on PC, I should replay.
Is it on PC now?
It is, yeah.
Sweet.
Sony, I guess, is starting to do a thing. Or it seemed maybe they were testing the waters with starting to do a thing of like maybe we'll see how this goes. Putting our intellectual property on Steam. After the fact.
And I wonder if there wasn't a backroom meeting going, okay, guys, here's the deal. Given with all the supply problems and everything, we are taking a bath on these goddamn consoles.
We want people to be able to play our game.
Yes.
So
we're not selling any games. We're not selling any fucking PS5s.
We need an injection of cash right now. What can we do? Hey, we could put this on Steam, and we could put this incredible, extremely well-reviewed title on Steam, and even though Gabe Newell is going to be taking a massive cut, it'll still be a pretty huge, injection of cash for us.
Well, and I think that they're also, this is also a marketing strategy. They're going, hey, this is a game maybe you haven't played because you don't have a PlayStation, but God of War coming out soon. The new game is on the way.
If you want to play the next one, you're gonna have to buy a PS5.
Here's a taste.
First taste is free, but it's not. I paid $80 for this.
Well, you'll be sucking dick for the next one.
And it's not going to be Gabe's. It's going to be
whoever runs Sony.
Yeah, whoever the president of Sony is. I don't know his name. He's not really a public face the way Shigeru Miyamoto is for Nintendo.
Miyamoto's been there since the beginning of Nintendo.
He's like 300 years old? Holy shit.
Well, I think Nintendo's only been around since 1885 or is it something like that?
Somewhere in the 1800s, I think. Yeah, it was
late
a bit of hyperbole.
Yeah.
But yeah, they started out as a playing card making company.
Well, yeah, and of course the first NES was available back then.
Yeah. Yep. It was weird. They made this strange box and it didn't do anything
because nobody had any electricity really.
No one, like the NES was just always there and someone was like, wait, this cable we just invented fits in the mystery box that we discovered in that cave in the 1800s that was supposed to be guarded by the ghost of a samurai that died during the Meiji Restoration. Let's give this a try. Oh my God, we need to recreate this now.
Wow.
The NES is some mystical thing that was, discovered in a cave
150 years ago.
It's like fucking Stargate.
Right.
It's like Stargate shit where it's like, these are not. I'm getting Stargate confused with Independence Day, which they're both Roland Emmerich movies.
Sure. Yeah.
But like in Independence Day, that computer technology was based on the alien ship that crashed in Roswell or whatever.
Yes.
I got that confused with Stargate.
The stuff that Data was in there getting information from.
Yes. Yeah. They're both Roland Emmerich movies, so I got them a little confused. I think there is in SG-1, the TV show. I know that there is like reverse engineering of alien technology, but that doesn't start happening until the timeline of the show, essentially. Sure. They don't successfully start reverse engineering any alien technology until the show is already running. But you've been. I haven't watched the latest episode of The Boys yet.
I haven't either. Like I've had children at the house.
I'm caught up to episode 4, so I bit of a cliffhanger at the end of episode 4. So yes. I really ought to watch it. I just haven't sat down and done it yet.
I went out of the house here. Was it yesterday? And I came back, and the 11-year-old was watching Peacemaker.
Oh.
And we got through like what episode? I'm like, I don't think this is. We got the second episode, and Max and I are looking at each other like, no,
this isn't for you.
This isn't for either of us.
Oh, really? Yeah. I heard a lot of good things about Peacemaker.
Okay, there's a lot of violence and there's a lot of it's a little bit of a hacky right to it. I mean, it's like they're trying to appeal to people who might like that sort of thing, but they've never ever actually met anybody who might like that sort of thing.
Okay.
Wow, they say fuck a lot here. I mean, more times than I really hear anybody ever say fuck. I mean,
I suppose.
And I say fuck a lot.
Yeah.
It's
kind of a
trying really hard here.
Yeah, I can understand why that vibe would be put. I haven't watched it, so I guess I don't know whether I would like it or not. I think the most I heard about it was like, it's pretty okay.
Yeah. But yeah, we got to the end of that second episode. I'm like, I don't really care to watch any more of this.
I do like, I don't know what it is. I find John Cena to be very likable.
He is likable.
I think that's also why a lot of people didn't enjoy him in the WWE is because he's just so, in the WWE, he was so white bread and just like, yes, a likable white man. Okay. I'm bored.
See, the reason I think he decided to watch that because we recently watched the
Suicide Squad,
the new Suicide Squad,
that he's in.
Yeah, the one that he's in.
Peacemaker.
Not the first one.
No, thank God.
Hopefully everybody's
forgotten about.
Right.
I think everyone but Hot Topic has forgotten about that movie. I don't know what the fuck it is. Why? Yeah. Like I see it on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a very specific type of mental illness that possesses people to dress up as Jared Leto's Joker.
Right. Yeah. No. Yeah. I saw this
and like
on
have
Facebook
an entire
recently.
Have their entire online persona be about cosplaying as Jared Leto's Joker. And this is the sort of thing that's been going on with Harley Quinn for years.
Right.
But and like now it's shifted to be specifically, the I can't remember her name. Barbie. She's going to be Barbie.
Yeah, Barbie. Oh my God.
I can't remember her name. You can't remember her name. Everyone knows who we're talking about. Yeah, but her version of Harley Quinn is the dominant one at the moment.
And when you talk about her, even if you're talking about her in another role, I just see her in Wolf of Wall Street.
You see all of her. But yeah, like there's just, it's like a very specific kind of like mental illness that possesses people to make their entire online persona about the Joker and or Harley Quinn.
Right.
It's bizarre. And it's always specifically Jared Leto's Joker. I guess it's because they went for the whole like kind of mumble rap aesthetic of all the face tattoos and the grill and everything. Yeah. And that's the sort of thing that some people do anyway. But
Margot Robbie.
There we go.
Never forget Margot Robbie.
I'm actually vaguely intrigued about her Barbie movie, by the way.
Sure.
For some reason, like even beyond, Margot Robbie's hot and like even beyond that, seeing stills and like reading the description of it, I'm going like, this is going to be fucking weird. What is this? What is this movie? And like I kind of want to see it because it's I think it's one of those things where like the Barbie brand has kind of become like the name and part of the brand has sort of become pseudo public domain. So like,
has it?
I don't think it literally has, but everything I read about the movie says they're not making this for little girls. This isn't a movie being made for children.
Right.
This is a movie being made for adult. Like who greenlit this?
Yeah, and
concept.
And the kid from the Goosebump episode is playing Ken. What's his name?
Ryan Gosling.
Ryan Gosling.
Yes. Whom everyone remembers as the kid from Goosebumps.
Yeah. Irma Gerd.
Yes, Ryan Gosling.
Right.
Yeah, I want to see if I can find a if I can find a synopsis or like a production, if I can find something that talks about the premise of it. Barbie 2022 movie. My Google's going like, what the fuck is wrong with you, dude?
And I think if everybody, all the chatter about our podcast here, if there is any talk, this is going to be referred to as the one where they Googled shit all for the whole hour.
Yeah, I mean, it's not entirely
inaccurate.
Out of character for us.
Good point. Yeah, you're right.
Do that.
You're not wrong. Yeah, just
what the fuck is it?
What is the synopsis of the?
God. I'm trying to find something concise, and I really cannot.
Isn't there like something on IMDb or
find? God.
Not really.
Not really. I think here. Let me see. I can't fucking navigate IMDb's mobile page. It's such a mess.
Do you use their app or
no?
Yeah, no. Every time they want to use our app, I'm like, no, I don't want to use your app.
It's so like everything is so fucking.
Mm-hmm.
I despise it. Anyway, I heard a synopsis of it and was like, what the fuck is that? So I don't know. I'm vaguely interested in it, and then there's the other part of my brain that's like, oh, Margot Robbie's hot. So
sure,
maybe I'll watch that then. I don't know. It's a weird thing to be a 26-year-old man and go like, I kind of want to watch Barbie, but whatever.
You're not wrong though.
Yeah, it's gonna be weird, and that intrigues me.
I mean, if you think you're having to put up a defense and saying, I'm 26-year-old man and I want to watch Barbie, remember, we're the guys who watched Cats.
Yeah, but that was in the zeitgeist.
Sure, I suppose that was
a whole thing.
That was for this. We didn't. Yeah, and it was. I
would have watched Cats anyway, but but entirely because I heard how fucking bizarre it was.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah,
I just wanted to watch it because Dame Judi Dench is hot in it. So.
Oh, everyone's favorite Bond girl, Judi Dench.
She was M. She was.
I'm making a joke. That M was the Bond girl. God, you took my joke, you grabbed it, you threw it on the ground and curb stomped it. Is what you did.
You just don't make any sense. Okay,
I just don't get it.
I don't get it. You're
just not as funny as you think you are.
Oh, just move on.
I don't need you to tell me that I'm not as funny as I think I am. That rattles around in my brain constantly.
I think it'd be funny just to go a day where one of us, after every time the other person says something, just to go, ugh.
I mean, I kind of do that every morning. But that's mostly just because it's the morning and I need coffee.
Yeah, I think that is our exchange when you walk in. Morning, Kale.
Don't talk to me. Okay, let's talk about Trouble. So Trouble is one of the founding doom metal bands, the Big Four, established in 1979. And I think there was a long period of time where like doom metal is so very closely related to just heavy metal.
Right.
It's like there are so many other metal genres that are a couple of generations removed where doom metal is pretty closely linked to original heavy metal.
The roots of it.
Explicitly Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
Very closely linked to the first handful of Black Sabbath albums. Very, very closely related to that, to the point where it's considered a point of like doom metal cred is if you as a band can buy like a amp that Tony Iommi has touched or breathed on.
Right.
Like I wonder how many Tony Iommi amps Matt Pike has either has now or has previously owned at some point in the past.
Yeah, Tony Iommi had sex with this amp.
Tony Iommi farted on this amp one time.
You can still hear it.
Hey, what's up? It's me, Matt Pike. I sound like the most grizzled surfer dude you've ever met.
Trouble, established in 1979, established themselves as one of the Big Four. This album came out in 1990.
Right.
And I remarked to you earlier today how bizarre the album art seems.
It's not the album art, it's a photo of the band.
Yeah, I guess that's what I like. Calling it album art is incorrect, but it's like, it's the sort of album cover that metal bands just didn't do.
They did though in this era.
Not in 1990.
Kind of sometimes. It was the end of it.
The
tail end.
I think it's the style of photo also, where they're just they're in there's
a garden kind of situation.
Like a garden. It might be sort of a kind of a rundown house or whatever, but it's not like a abandoned warehouse or something.
Right.
And they're dressed like they're part of a Fleetwood Mac tribute band in 1990.
And they're also nicely coiffed.
Their hair is done up all purdy, and they're all wearing tons of denim. And it's like, this came out in 1990 and they're a doom metal band. Nobody's got, at least to my memory, maybe one of the people in the background had, but nobody's got any facial hair or anything.
Yeah, but I think they had so much credit at this point. This was their fourth album, so they had plenty of credit at this point. Everybody said, "Well, these guys are great." So all these guys had to say was, "Here's what I feel like doing," and everybody around was like, "Yes, sure, let's do that. Okay, let's make that happen."
I don't know why, but in my head, big beards are very closely associated with doom metal for some reason. I feel like at least one person in every doom metal band needs to have a wizard beard.
Sure.
It's a necessity. In the album art, there's probably going to be a wizard on the album art who has a big beard.
Sure.
Some kind of a wizard or a necromancer or something. It's just
a narcomancer.
It's a narcomancer.
Yeah. That's just somebody who wakes people up.
Yeah, or
from sleeping.
Something to do with sleep. I think whenever I heard that first, when you said that at some other point, I went, "Oh, drugs."
Yeah, but no, right? I mean, that's where the word narcotics comes from.
Yeah,
it's something
having to do with sleep.
Right.
But hey, Sleep, a doom metal band. But we're talking about Trouble. So the personnel for Sleep. The personnel for Trouble consisted of Eric Wagner, who's the vocalist. You've got Bruce Franklin on guitar, Rich Wartell also on guitar, Ron Holzner on bass, and Barry Stern on drums. This was the lineup at the time.
Very German-sounding names.
Yes, lots of German-sounding names. But this was the lineup at the time. They've had a very, an extremely varied lineup throughout the years, mostly after they came back from hiatus or a reunion or whatever in the mid 2000s at some point. I think the band split in 95 from what I remember reading, and then got back together at some point in the mid 2000s. Yep. And since then they've went through a ton of personnel, and before that it was a lot more consistent, generally speaking. Is what the chart on Wikipedia with all the colored lines. Right. That's what it looked like anyhow. Let's talk about you and Trouble, the band. How did you come across them? What was your deal with them?
This was one of those things where it wasn't something that came to me directly. It's one of those things where that is correct. Was it my phone? Oh.
Yeah.
It was one of those things where I just heard it at a party where people were smoking a lot of weed.
It seemed fitting.
Yeah, as Eric's house. I don't want to maybe mention any full names. I just say his mother was the chief editor for the Minot Daily at the time.
Don't want to mention any names, but let me mention the job his mom had.
So we'd be down in the basement.
So much more private. So much more anonymous. So what was his mother's maiden name? What's the last four numbers of his social security number while you're at it?
Nobody knows what you're talking about.
Okay.
So we down there. It was me and it was this guy who was an undertaker, and
I can't think of the Undertaker's name.
No, it wasn't. It was not a WWE.
It was not the Undertaker.
Not the Undertaker.
It was just a Undertaker. An Undertaker
named Jeff.
Okay.
And and it was just one of those things where I was exposed to it and enjoyed it. Here's the weird thing is I never actually owned a copy of this, but I never had to it was one of those things that was always around.
It was around somewhere. You didn't have to go. You didn't have to go looking for it to be present in your life.
Right.
was it then just something that you were thinking of? Like, did you go on to sort of listen to these guys more, or was it just something that popped into your head recently?
It was just something that popped into my head recently. So I'd like to talk about it. I'd like for maybe you to give this a listen to see what you think about it. I mean, it's clearly going to be something that's a little bit out of, the realm of something you would willingly seek out.
It's not super far out. It's not super out of my sphere of interest. I would say it's at least in a genre I'm on better terms with,
sure,
than a lot of the bands that you're like, Kale's not going to like this. Like, this is at least in the right genre.
Sure, yeah,
something that I would enjoy.
And I always kind of noticed that this was they said this was were the big four of Doom, and I thought there's just something that's sort of out of Doom for this. It's a little bit. Yeah. I mean, like the vocals and a lot of the sort of the keys and a lot of the lead guitars really sort of stem more from like blues rock and
heavy metal,
right?
Just early heavy metal.
Right.
And I think that's the thing with most early doom metal in general, is that it kind of like, even back then, like earlier we were talking about what a broad genre it is today. It always was a pretty sonically broad genre. And the only thing that kind of brought it together was like, sort of, we're into a very, like this specific guitar tone and sort of generally slower tempos,
right,
and kind of longer riffs and that sort of thing. But even this, like, plenty of fast tempos on this.
There's just some thrashy stuff on here,
and I don't think doom would really slow down until like towards the mid to late 90s, when you've got bands like Sleep starting to get going and stoner doom sort of becoming a thing, is when doom sort of slows down. And I think, just how in like the big four of thrash metal, how you've got all these different textures, you've got the really chaotic and dark with Slayer down on one end. Then you've got sort of in the middle there with Megadeth and Metallica. And then on the brighter, more sparkly end of things, you've got Anthrax.
Sure. Which are more fun. I mean, they actually had one album. Maybe I should have you listen to that album.
Maybe.
They had at least one very dark. We were going through a very dark period, and it made some interesting music.
Sure. But I think doom metal probably pretty similar, where you've got bands like Candlemass, being a bit darker and doomier, really. Kind of. I think when I think of doom metal, one of the first things that pops into my head, even as a person that is not really a Candlemass fan, is that album art with the skull and the spike, the spiky cross.
Epicus, Doomicus, Metallicus.
Yeah, like that's. Yeah. It's an image that is impossible to escape in doom metal, and it's like that's the definitive image of what doom metal is. Just put your phone on silent.
Yeah,
if
I had it.
You're
I thought I had it on silent.
At it.
Stop messaging me.
My phone never makes noise.
Yeah, mine normally doesn't.
I never have my phone make any. My phone's always on silent, pretty much.
Yeah.
No one talks to me.
Yeah,
well, and that's how I like it.
You know why that is.
I know why that is. After what I did.
You know what you did.
Yeah, after the accident.
Yeah, since the incident.
Yeah. Things have been different.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think just in the same way as with like thrash metal, you've got different sort of textures in the big four. And I think doom metal can be that way as well. And these guys would probably be on sort of the brighter, more energetic side of things compared to some other doom metal bands. And especially compared to where doom as a genre kind of would go later in the 90s and into the 2000s, generally becoming even more downbeat and even more, sort of dark and depressing, generally speaking. Things with, funeral doom becoming a subgenre, and death doom as well. The birth of death metal and infusing that into doom metal is also a big thing as well.
You ever listen to Cathedral at all?
I don't think so. You did bring a Candlemass album.
I did. I brought a Candlemass. Yeah.
Was it Epicus, Doomicus, Metallicus?
No.
Or was it?
It was. Which album was it? It was.
One of the ones.
Tales of Creation. That's what I brought. Tales of Creation is what I brought.
But yeah, I don't think you've had me listen to Cathedral, and I haven't listened to it on my own. But
singer Lee Dorian there. That name might sound familiar.
Yeah, it does. Who's Lee Dorian?
Lee Dorian was briefly the singer for Napalm Death.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. He was the lead singer on Scum, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Okay. It's interesting that he was actually so briefly in Napalm Death, even though he's the vocalist on arguably their most famous album.
Yeah, and the most famous song, which I love whenever You Suffer.
Yeah. The lyrics are "You suffer, but why?"
Yeah, you suffer, but why?
The song is
just it's called "You Suffer." Yeah. Yes, the lyric. Yeah. The lyrics of the song are twice as long as the title. but
two more words.
What makes me happy?
There's a comma in there too.
But why? So yeah, when they go on like in the early days, they'd be on a talk show. We're gonna have Napalm Death, and you think they had to bring up all the stacks and put the drums together, the equipment, put the microphone stands, do a test, check.
Play You Suffer.
Just play You Suffer. Okay, we're done.
And then leave.
Take it down.
It'd be hilarious if that was the whole concert too.
That would be great.
Pay money to go see Napalm Death. It's just like, they do like the intro music, getting everybody extremely hyped up. Everyone's like, yeah. And, just like someone sort of hits the amp and just, yes, all right, bye.
Good night.
What? Is that
it? I don't know what they're writing out there.
It would be hilarious. It reminds me of there's a gent band called Periphery, and I can't find the video of this anymore. I can't remember where I saw it, but they have a song called Icarus Lives that has like one of the most hype-inducing intros that I can think of in that genre.
Yeah.
And then right before it's about to hit like this really big drop, they rickrolled the audience. It was fucking hilarious. And the thing is, everyone was enjoying it. They started playing Never Gonna Give You Up, and everyone started singing. Everyone started singing along to Rick Astley.
Yeah.
And then when they turned it off, they're like, okay, but seriously, people were like, come on, we're enjoying Rick Astley. And then
you guys can go home.
Fuck this. But yeah, it was hilarious. But
I don't know why that reminds me of another movie that my youngest child never seen was Groundhog Day.
Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
Did you watch it then, or?
Yeah, we watched it.
Oh, cool.
We actually watched it, and then that's why, because I mentioned to him that they needed to re-release the movie and just call it Groundhog Day 2.
What?
Just have it be the same movie.
Oh, okay. I get it.
Don't reshoot anything.
Yeah, it's just I get it,
and no one would be mad about it.
Yeah, well, yeah, because they could just go see Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
I didn't look up, or I did. I meant to write down scores, and I didn't. The ones on their Wikipedia page were pretty positive for this album. Trouble. Remember, we're talking about Trouble by Trouble.
Not Sorry.
Yes. What's your favorite song on this album?
It's weird. Like END is like one of my favorite songs.
Okay.
On here, I also like A Blacker Shade of Doom.
Okay.
Also really good.
I wrote down. I like R.I.P. because it's by far the doomiest song on here.
You're not wrong. Yeah.
The intro is like 100%. I hear that and I go, "Oh, that's doom metal.
Yeah,
that's fucking doom metal." I hear that intro.
But then it breaks into kind of a thrashy part.
Yeah, it gets faster after that. But that intro is like, you could play that to someone and say, this is what doom metal is.
And they go, oh, okay.
And like you wouldn't be wrong for showing them that.
Right.
So, what metal are you bestowing upon this, like Maskanada to Chewbacca?
I mean, it is one of the greats, of the genre. It's a milestone record. I still give it a silver, but I mean.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think this is like there's nothing about this that I don't like enjoy. I'd say this is all very well made music. It's well recorded. I like the vocals quite a bit. Like I think it's I think you had mentioned that it's previously you were like, oh, it can get kind of hair metally, and I didn't really hear that. I think maybe it's sort of the like subject matter, and that for me hair metal is really all about the subject matter and the everything outside of the vocals, basically. Like, I think you could take the vocal performance of a hair metal band, change the lyrics, and change the music behind it, and it's completely different, even if it's the exact same voice. To me, hair metal is just like, oh, they're talking about snorting coke and banging chicks. Like, okay, yeah, that's hair metal.
See,
but
when I think of hair metal, I think of the music being on the periphery. I think I think you're starting a band like Britney Fox or I can't even think of the others right now, like Poison or something like that.
Yeah.
You are 100% strictly doing something for the pussy.
Yeah, you're doing it because you want to be famous, so you can buy drugs and bang chicks.
Exactly.
And buy a nice car or something. I
mean, all the same reasons you become a disc jockey.
Exactly, yeah.
It's for the cocaine and the whores.
It's for the drugs and the whores. We're turning into Danny DeVito. Turning into Frank Reynolds. Your mother's a dirty, dirty whore.
I want to be pure.
I just want to be pure. This album's a silver for me.
Yeah, it's good.
I enjoy this quite a lot, but not enough to give it a gold.
Right.
It's just like all right,
cool.
So next week, I kind of figured we'd continue with sort of the thing that got me to listen to last week's album, and we'd finally talk about it, because I wanted to do this last week, but after I discovered Heavy Pendulum, I was like, no, we're doing this.
Right.
So this week we are going to do Blood Moon.
Sweet.
Which is the
I could have sworn we'd done it already.
We have not. This is a collaboration from Converge, Chelsea Wolfe, and Stephen Brodsky. We'll talk about it next week. Blood Moon.
Sweet.
Or actually, it's Blood Moon 1. So that seems to indicate there will be another one at some point, which wouldn't surprise me. But it'd be kind of funny if they did if it was like Dream Theater, where like when they wrote Metropolis Part 1, they're just like, hey, get it, Part 1, and then a decade later they're like, all right, yeah, fine. I guess we'll make a whole album.
Metropolis Part 2.
Well, it wasn't a decade later, it was 4 years later, because that's no, it was it 8 years? When did oh no, why did I forget the name of the Images and Words? Was that 91 Images and Words came out, or was that 95?
No, it had to have been 91. Images and Words?
Yeah.
That's Pull Me Under, right?
That's got to be 91.
Yeah, I was still in high school when that came out.
Okay. But in any case, yeah, they wrote Metropolis Part 1 and called it that with no expectation that they were ever going to make a Metropolis Part 2, and then eventually like, well, I guess we're making a whole album. I'm 99% certain it's 91.
92.
92.
Yeah. So I wasn't in high school still when this came out.
You were fresh out of high school, like a newborn babe. You know how people are when they graduate from high school?
All covered in smegma.
Why did you say that?
Why?
That's got a different connotation to me than maybe what you're thinking of.
Because you're fresh out of the womb.
I don't know if maybe the definition of this word has changed. I don't know if I want to explain it to you while the microphones are on, but we'll figure that out later. Someone that's listening knows why I'm grossed out by that.
Well, yeah, but I think maybe we have the same definition. It's just that you're the one who's grossed out by it.
No. We'll get to it. We'll get to it here after we end the episode. So we'll do that now. Find us on Facebook and Twitter and follow us there if you want to.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, you're looking it up.
I was thinking of something else.
You were definitely thinking of something else.
I was not thinking of smegma.
I'm just gonna say it's Dick Cheese.
The guy who does the lounge music covers of famous songs, Richard Cheese.
Yeah, Richard Cheese.
No, yeah, I was thinking, what the hell was that thinking?
Father of Chuck E. Cheese.
I
mean, amniotic fluid.
Yeah, amniotic fluid.
All kinds of other things. This has been a disaster.
You're welcome.
Follow, subscribe to our feed on your podcast app on your iOS device, or download the podcast source for on the App Store that has it. Do that. You've destroyed the end of this episode now. Okay, thanks for listening to another episode of the Bronze Medalist Podcast. I'm Kale.
I'm OJ.
Congratulations.